Giddy up. The Real Kyper Bourne Show, Leaf Hour edition. Live on Sportsnet 360, 590 The Fan in Toronto. Streaming always on Sportsnet Plus. Available on Spotify, podcast, and YouTube. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Jake the Snake Schultz, Derek Brandeo. Game day for the Toronto Maple Leafs. 16 to go. Is that what we have, Sammy?
Who's counting?
Who's counting? Everybody's counting.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah. I'm counting.
Just seeing all the people theorize who you had traded Matthew Nyes for the other day, Kip.
Okay, listen.
I'm just online right now.
I am going to just sit back and I'm going to listen to you guys for the next hour. There's a few, every once in a while, I like to see the temperature that's out there a little bit. And
it's hot.
All I've got is like, can I please find another team to torment?
I just saw Arbor Jackeye was in the deal. I saw Jacob Fowler. I saw, look at all these Canadians' names. Crazy, man.
Hold
Crazy
on.
Times.
I got to ask, because the big, scary Toronto media is a hot topic right now.
It is.
Is, yes.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's all share.
So let me ask you a question. To the person listening right now, that is, maybe you wouldn't be listening right now if you think the big Toronto scary media is like, how many positive Toronto Maple Leafs conversations are you having with your friends? Like, are you going out to the bar with your buddies and you're going out to watch whatever game or whatever? You guys are sitting there slugging some Guinness and you're like, boy,
Still got a chance.
they're right there. Like, I really love all the guys in this team, and it really feels like there's a lot of building blocks and their future is bright. Like,
so you're telling me there's a chance?
I don't. So you were supposed to come in here and lie?
I don't
understand what we're supposed to do.
You're not. You're supposed to just talk and say how you feel.
Right.
So every Thursday mornings I go to my morning skate. Listen, there's a good 15 minutes on what's wrong with the Leafs, what's good, what's not good in the dressing room, even warming up. Like, what do they got to do? How do you fix this? Short term, long term. Who needs to stay? Who needs to go? And everybody is pretty much as passionate as our Sammy.
Yeah. And I will say, every conversation you have off the air, and I shouldn't speak for you guys, but it's always involving the biggest names on the team. And it's always involving someone saying, Matt, last year's Marner's got to go. This year it's Matthews got to go.
If we can just get away from that for a second, it's still a wonderful thing for the game, the Leafs in this town. Like, the last thing you want is no one to come to the rink and no one to care enough to put in 10 or 15 minutes. Whatever your thoughts and ideas are, however you feel about Matthews or Marner or retool or rebuild, it's still there.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You don't go in there and go, what do you think the Leafs should do? And people go, I don't know who's on the team. That doesn't happen.
Or I don't really care. Let's talk about something else.
Yeah.
So where is that in the grand scheme of things too, where the narrative now is like guys don't want to play here because of that, right? Because that's where it starts. And then, of course, we go on air. I get that. There's how many different podcasts out there right now that have an influence now on how people perceive the Toronto Maple Leafs. I've lost count, 50, 60. I don't know whether they're local, whether they're somewhere in the country or somewhere in the world. Like, you're talking about the Leafs like baseball fans talk about the Yankees, the Dallas Cowboys. It really isn't any different when you talk about those type of franchises. Montreal locally, come on, don't tell me like it's not all the same when you talk about those type of institutions.
It's funny too, because I think players know that if you were to come here and have success, they see the way Wendell and Dougie Gilmore are treated and all these guys. Like, they know that you can build up a lifetime by having some success here. So I think there's always an interest in coming here and trying to be that guy.
It's always the guys who haven't played here that are talking about what it's like to play in Toronto.
Yeah.
That's what I find. I don't really feel as though that
Matthew Tkachuk, it's Pat Maroon.
Yeah, it's always people. It's Jack, the the Quinn and Jack Hughes at the press conference talking, like Mark Stone. It's just all the guys that have never actually played in this market that come in and are like, yeah, boy, it sucks there. It's, well, you never played here. So just because you're viewing it from your outside little bubble where two guys ask you questions at morning skate doesn't necessarily, I don't know. I find it.
I still think it's.
You've played here.
Yeah. I still think it's an amazing place to play.
Yeah,
and
well,
how they get treated and the availability to whatever you need is there.
Do you want what you do to matter? I don't know if that's good grammar. Do you want anyway?
What we do here?
No, I'm saying if you're a player,
yes,
it matters here. Every day matters. And I think that's inspiring when you come into work. And for the record, I feel like what we do here matters every day because we get feedback. And so I love it.
Yes.
If no one was listening, I wouldn't enjoy doing this.
None of us would be employed.
Yeah.
If nobody was listening. But yeah, I find that people expect of the Toronto media
it's unrealistic to say, come in here and talk
Be
up all the
positive.
good things right now. It's not a positive time. They're in a real pickle.
a dilly of a pickle, if you will.
But
One dilly of a pickle.
I do think it takes a little bit of a different kind of guy to withstand the bad times here in this town now.
For sure.
Right? You need a guy that few things can bounce off. I don't know if you got to
Willie's
go.
been a good example.
I don't know if you need to go back to their grade 3 elementary teacher to say, who said it bounce off of me, sticks onto you.
Yeah.
You know that
you're rubber and I'm glue. Is
yeah,
that it?
rubber and
other
I
way around.
glue.
That was the
Yes.
other way.
Who's got
I'm
that
bad today.
on your roster?
Oh, yeah.
Right? But in saying that, yeah, I did play for the Leafs, and we were at times picking up a Toronto Star,
Social media makes it so much worse now.
So
a
much.
Toronto Sun, a Globe and Mail, and we're like, okay, what are they saying?
Yeah.
Oh, this guy's got to go, right? That was the extent of it.
Mhm.
Or he's not playing well, but like what they're dealing with today between all these shows and some of them just there's no guardrails. You can just say whatever you want. You can swear as much as you want. You can curse. You can just be as vicious as you want.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Yeah, there was a bit more of a journalistic standard once upon a time when there's 3 papers of record and it's tough to get the jobs, and
a lot of it's gone.
yeah.
Right.
But-
and that's the part. And if it's not the player listening, it'll be a brother, a sister, a buddy. It'll be a mom, a dad. It'll be somebody going back to the kid going, oh my God,
Yeah.
can you believe what they're saying about you? This is awful.
But
Yeah,
if
once in
you're
a while
good,
when my buddy
right?
sends me a YouTube comment, it's like, did you see this? I'm like, no, I didn't see this.
And
Yeah.
and there's times when it's really like it's not fair, but like who's going to police it? Who's going to watch it? Who's going to tell them, no, you can't say that.
But what's so different now is that social media element where it doesn't even have to be someone with a podcast. It can just be anyone. And, because of algorithms, they're on the Leafs. They get served some Leaf stuff on Instagram, I'm sure. They see pictures of themselves photoshopped into, I don't even want to suggest some of the things I've seen.
Yeah.
And it's like, I get how that could wear on you and it could be grating, but I think because people care, if you do well, you're going to get the opposite version of that too, the good stuff. And for some years, the Leafs did get that. God, I remember seeing Marner and Matthews, Bon Jovi singing along to that video 3,000 times. People couldn't have loved it more
Yeah.
until it was no more.
Until you start losing,
Yeah.
right?
But and I know you and I differ on some of the Marner stuff, and that's fine. But I think because it's cool to be somewhere people care, that's just the risk. You're right. It's not for everyone.
Yeah. I mean,
and it does go too far.
And it's it's the stuff that like he was reported golfing the next day after they got knocked out,
Right.
which never happened.
Right.
But
So what if it did?
people pick that up, and whether it's true or not, regardless, we're just going to start judging you on it, right? But
like
you
Kip,
say, what if he did? What if he didn't, though? Right?
Like I just photoshopped or saw pictures of you as like in Iran a few minutes ago. Like people, but you're okay.
I know.
You're okay. I think. Maybe we need to talk. But this is just kind of
But
part of the market.
It's like when you play. Like, just worry about the things that you can control.
Right.
And don't worry about the rest. Don't.
That's that. And some guy, to your point, some guys can do it, some guys can't.
Yeah, I mean, it's on a much smaller scale, but I don't know if you guys read my mentions in the last year and a half. Like, people are very mean online.
Sammy,
That's a thing.
You just want to come over and squeeze your cheeks. Like, who could be mad at you? Who could be mad at you?
Well, I'll show you my DMs one day. It's just, it's tough to be in the public eye, but you're paid $13 million. That's what the money is for.
Yeah, but I guess to the point of Pat Maroon or whoever else it may be, you can also make $13 million and not have that somewhere else. So is it a deterrent for people playing here? I think it's a combination of taxes, and it snows here and people can be aggressive. I think, excuse me, I think that when it's bad here, it's very likely to drive people away. But because it can be so good when people see it starting to grow. Look, I mean, Patrick Marleau was dying to come be a part of this. Joe Thornton was dying to come be a part of this. When it's going that direction, people see what it can be like in the positive.
The other factor too, and I'll compare it to the parent that is sinking a lot of money in their kid, right? To go and practice 3 days a week, to get a skills coach, to being forced to buy a leather jacket and a hat, and then there's a price point that really puts a lot of pressure on you and the kid. And let's face it, there's a pressure point too for elite fans today, maybe more so than we've ever seen over the course of this franchise history.
You're talking financially.
Yes. Yeah. I'm saying that also there is a feel out there that we don't mind paying top dollar, but
sure,
not for that product. Right? Not. And it's more stressful today than it's ever been. And I don't care whether you own a corporation or you're the president and CEO or you're just a guy who just buys his season tickets because it's because that's where you want your money to go. But like, everybody's feeling that now. It's like, I'm okay, but I need a better product. And that also spills into that whole, where's the temperature of the city right now for the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. It's much more reasonable to get into a Leafs game than it's been in a long time right now. So, I mean, that kind of tells you where people are at.
That's winning and losing. And it might be new to the Leafs too, because
Kyper, it's not always been like winning and losing, buddy.
No. But when you've lost in the past, there was less worry about that price point that I'm talking about. And now you could probably get into tonight's game in the building for $70.
No, I think it's more in the 90 range.
Okay.
But still,
all right.
Under 100 for a Leafs game's unheard of.
Florida Panthers, 2-time Stanley Cup champions. They're not in it right now.
$48.
I talked to a guy who got lower bowls for $50.
Yeah, but they've never cared. So
it's still,
I mean, like, comparing the Leafs to Florida is a completely different.
No. But now in 2026, now you can compare. This is what happens when the product isn't up to snuff.
Like
Sam.
Florida's ticket wasn't $50 2 years ago, last year. Yeah.
No. And now, for the first time, the Leafs are now in that scenario where, hey, you missed the playoffs. You're not successful. You're like the rest of the team. It's less in demand.
Okay, I understand that point.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to say, like, it is much more newsworthy that a ticket to a Leafs game is $90 than a ticket to a Florida Panthers game is $40.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they've been $40 for their whole, like, unless for the last 2 years they were a little more, but it's still way less than it would ever be here.
My point is just what losing does now in 2026.
And I think the way you are losing is different too, where it's a team that had high
That's
expectations.
a big part of it. It's not, it's versus expectations.
And a complicated relationship between the team and the fan base, where I do think that there's a lot of people that were dying for any reason to quit on this core. That, like, they were just chomping at the bit, where they've seen all these playoff failures, and at the first sign of trouble, I mean, it's, this market begged for my whole life.
But this isn't the first sign of trouble.
No, but I mean, they've been good. They've been in the playoffs. They've been a playoff team. They've been accumulating points.
Yeah.
But like, my entire childhood, into my 20s, it's like, oh man, only if the Leafs could get a number one center, Leafs could get a number one center. And the first sign of them, not being any good for the future, they want to trade their number one center at age 28. Like, people just have a very complicated relationship with this core, and they just we're dying for a reason to quit on them. And it feels
it's
like
crazy to have so little goodwill. Their last 4 seasons, they've had 115 points.
It's no goodwill.
115 points, 111 points, 102 points, 108 points. That's their last
year was 108?
108 last year. It's their last 4 seasons.
Those are great numbers.
I mean, incredible.
Those are great numbers.
And, you think you fall off for one season and you prime to try to run it back next year. You'd have some goodwill from that. But the postseasons, the way they've gone, the expectations were so high.
But they've had a lot of bad losses at that building.
But
a lot of losses.
It doesn't feel like Florida's goodwill, right? Because they got a lot of their guys coming back, and there's
Florida next year.
Yes.
Well, yeah, and there's cups behind them.
There's cups behind them, but there seems to be a good base there still that you can ride out for another year, 2 or 3. I don't know how long they
and
go.
There's skepticism here.
And here it's okay. Where the real assets now in this organization compared to Florida's?
They called up Michael Pezzetta.
Sammy, you've been calling for this.
I don't know whether I should be honored or terrified that Brad Treliving listens to Leaf Stock, but
Michael Pezzetta called up from the Toronto Marlies, and this will be shockingly. I learned today he hasn't played one game yet for the Leafs.
Not a game.
I thought they snuck him in somewhere.
No, this is it. This is his Leafs debut. He's thrilled to be a part of it. What's strange is because of the veteran limit rule in the American League, he's played 37 American League games all season. I believe he's 28 years old.
We do the Leafs games every night. You thought he played for the Leafs?
I don't know. I thought at some point he didn't sneak in a game.
Year's a blur. Who knows? But yeah, no, he has not snuck in a game. So he's 27
I can tell
years
you
old.
if he shoots left or right.
Which way does he shoot?
Left.
Oh, that's a
Correct.
guess. Good guess.
No, it's not a good guess. I know he shoots left.
The craziest part of this to me is that he didn't get signed to a 2-way contract. It's a 2-year, one-way NHL deal for $812,000. So 1.6 whatever million they gave him.
I had him in game 1 opening night. I
did too. I just thought they wanted to discount Ryan Reeves, a guy who you could put in the press box, who would give you what he could on the forecheck and energy. Just a little pace. I don't know how bad he's been in the American League for him to get no looks at all. But anyway, he's got 200 NHL games under his belt already. In the American League, he's got 4 goals, 10 assists, and 75 PIMs and 40 games, something like that. So, I don't know. He's, by the way, lifelong Leafs fan. Thrilled,
I know. He's super excited.
Thrilled
I know.
to be a Leaf.
We want to play his clip about playing for the Leafs?
Yes.
Let's play.
Yeah, I think it's just like pure excitement. Like even just being out there morning skate, like just so excited. Like I said, I could barely sleep last night. Just excited. Anytime you get the opportunity to be back on NHL ice, it's exciting. And then just to be able to put this Leaf sweater on for the first time, I'm sure it's going to come with a lot of emotions, and I'm just excited about it.
5 back of excitement.
I would have him rub up against every player on the team tonight because I need some of that passed on.
So that's 100% why he's in tonight. They're like, this guy is jazzed up. He says, Luke Fox wrote about him today. It's not hard to cheer for the Leafs being from Toronto. I can't even explain how stoked I am. And then he adds, insanely fired up before all the excitement.
Just watching him tonight will be worth it.
This is what I thought was going to happen. And here,
this was my point.
I was like, who's he going to fight tonight?
Yeah, it's poor Ross Johnson, who's a
Ross
heavyweight.
Johnson's a murderer.
Yeah, he's gonna
that is the worst case scenario for
he's
Pezzetta.
going to have to kill
Yes.
Ross Johnson.
Just jump him.
But,
that's coming. He's got to jump.
I mean, to your point about business and giving the fans something to cheer for or whatever,
Yes.
this is what, they know Michael Pezzetta's game. I think this is the reason he's in the lineup tonight, because there's potentially be a little energy and some chaos for a fan base that's seen nothing.
If he forechecks well and plays 5 minutes and doesn't fight or something, it'll be disappointing. I expect him to yell at someone tonight.
100% fighting.
Yeah.
I would bet.
Ross Johnson reading the call-ups today was like, oh God, here we go.
We're going to get something. We're going to get a different feel for sure than what we've seen in the last 8 or 9 games. So it's good enough for me.
Jansen Harkins fight? if I'm Pizzetta, I'm looking for it. Trouba might. Gudis, I'd go fight Gudis.
Gudis won't fight.
No, but you can make him look silly by not.
Yeah.
Cowan. How many minutes against Ottawa?
You want to hear what their thought
Oh,
process
Chief.
is? Yeah.
Yeah, let's hear from head coach Berube on Pizzetta. You want that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Clip one.
Like I said, we're going to look at guys down there, and he's one of the guys that we wanted to see. I'd say for a little while now. We want to try to get him up here, and so he's a guy that's going to bring in lots of energy, and he's a good skater, strong skater. So we'll see how it goes.
I mean, you wanted to get him in for a while now.
I don't understand
do it
that.
Anytime you want.
So what happened? Like
we're all looking for the guy who did it.
So if you wanted him,
we wanted to get him in, but
doesn't anybody follow up with what? Oh, hold on for a second. So what kept it from happening, and who was playing so well that you couldn't fit him in? But I don't know.
Yarny was undeniable.
Yeah, couldn't get the croak.
I don't know. I mean, yeah.
I think tonight it looks like Lorentz and Dakota Joshua may be scratched.
Yeah.
Tough to be scratching Joshua. You just gave him 3-year deal.
Well,
He's been injured.
You didn't give it. You traded for it.
Right.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
You traded for it, gave him you traded for the 3-year deal.
Yeah.
And then he's been injured, and now he's back. Like, you can't give him some runway to get going. You got to have a line of, stand by
Listen,
for this one.
I know he was out, but there was plenty of opportunity to show runway.
Okay. Tonight, the third line is Michelli, Grew, Robertson. He can't get in. Michelli, Grew, Robertson.
I know, but
Michelli, Grew.
I gotta tell you, I'd rather.
I'm okay.
have all
I'm
three of
okay.
those guys
I'm okay with new look, new energy, new feel with
I
guys.
gotta tell you, a fourth line of Pizzetta, Quillen, Yarncroke is awesome, and I'm not being facetious. They are going to be flying. Flying.
see.
Yarny, you say what you will about Yarny, he can move.
Ah,
He sure looks like he's got the water bug stems anyway. That line is going to be on the forecheck. Not going to have a clue what to do when they get it, but
they won't.
it's like when the dog catches a car.
Where do you want to go?
Now
Cowan?
Sure, let's do Cowan.
All right, Cowan.
Playing on the.
How many
That's
minutes?
some good stretch.
Okay, hold on for a second. How many minutes in Montreal? Was it over 18?
Yeah, 18, 20.
Which is a big number. Big number.
It is.
Tonight, he finds himself playing on a line with Austin and Willie. Let's have a listen.
We've had some good stretches at times. I think early on in the season they were together for a bit and did some good things. So good opportunity for Cowan. Thought he did a good game, good job in Montreal, and that's why I made that switch.
He had, the last couple months, he averaged 1135 in the month of, it looks like February and January, 1410. So to jump up to 1820 is a big one. But yeah, he can make plays. Like, he's definitely the brightest young guy they got.
No question that you could see the upside and you could see why he was successful as a top junior. The only thing missing is just
Size.
like getting stronger, right? And the empty net goal where he kind of got bounced off a little bit, Evans.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
if he's
bigger,
10 pounds heavier or
stronger,
whatever.
wins the race.
At that age, too, I don't know about you at that age, I pretty typically put on 10, 12 pounds, and then you come to camp and you lose 5, and you're up 7 for the year.
Yeah,
that's kind of
coming, and it still won't be there by next October, but
he'll be stronger.
He'll be stronger, yes. But to me, he still needs a couple of years now to put some serious weight and strength on.
He needs to do squats. I know a lot of fast twitch stuff too, but it's all lower. But you look at like the good like Crosby and the low base that these, I don't say smaller. He's not small, but smaller maybe is what I should have said. Yeah, to get that good lower base going into next year.
I think, as a Leaf fan watching these games, and Kyper, I think you've kind of been alluding to the fact that maybe a little bit too much too soon. You as well, Bourne, like you want him to earn it. But you talk about a product that's watchable or whatever. Like, I think having him on the top line, that's something that you can at least tune into these games.
I'd rather watch him
him
make plays and turn it over.
Yes.
I'd rather watch him do both.
And I think at least when you go into the look ahead to the future of this team, he's shown enough in his rookie year that he'll be part of it when they're good again.
Mm-hmm.
Like when the Leafs are good again, he can be a contributing factor to this.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll ever be a superstar per se, but he will be a top 6
good support
guy,
player.
right?
What's his ceiling for points in a year? What's his ceiling?
Can he be Hagel?
That's the exact name that was on the tip of my tongue.
Really?
Oh, can he be a 90-point Olympian who fights?
I don't. So is the answer no?
I don't think that's a huge ceiling.
Buddy, I know, but he was also considered the number 1 junior prospect in the world, right?
Okay.
So
yeah,
I don't know.
You know what I will say? I think when he gets stronger, he'll have scrap to him. I think he's got scrappiness in him. Right now, it's how do you mouth off when everyone can donk you into the ice like Donkey Kong style.
Yeah.
But
I think there's just overall, he just needs time to mature physically, mentally, emotionally. Sometimes you can see him too a little bit where he's just not ready to calm himself down yet.
the hardest thing, I think, is a lot of these guys who come up awesome the way Cowan has, just everything goes great. You're told you're awesome and it's easy and you're awesome and it's awesome. And then all of a sudden it's hard and it's not awesome and you're not doing great and you have to go through adversity.
I don't know why for 3 weeks they didn't send him to the Marlies and just play
failing of the year.
Play on the power play. Do whatever you need to do, but do not let that guy just go somewhere for 3 weeks and hang. Like he went,
and then they come out of the Olympics.
I think he skated with London a little bit, but you know, you don't need to go there and feel like a big wheel.
No,
you know what I mean?
No, you're right. You need to still have to work and earn it. Then they come out of the Olympics and he scratched twice in a row. Which now I recognize they thought they were trying to win then and make playoffs.
Which is so absurd to think about.
Yeah, it's crazy to think.
All right, Sammy, what else you like here? You got Matthews not scoring or Riley off the power play.
Riley off the power play. Let's do that.
All right. Craig Berube.
Just last game, I didn't like how it was going. I made that switch, so that's why I was I've done it a few times this year, right? Sometimes, a little switch like that will spark it again and get it going in the right direction. Right now, it's a little dry for us, so that's why I made the switch.
I'm assuming it's OEL. I didn't see.
It's OEL.
Okay. Morgan Riley. I think it's really important that he shows some stability here for the next 16 games. I don't think he's done as a pro, as a guy that could interest other teams. I think he's far from done. Mm-hmm. But he needs these next 16 games, I think, to remind people around this city, in other markets, management teams, that he can still skate, he can still shoot it in the net, he can skate a puck out of his own zone.
You think he's at the point he's trying to revalidate himself to the league?
I think it's important that he does because it'll make it a lot easier to make decisions in the offseason for himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he'll have options at that point as opposed to
you got to
now.
You got to invite people you got to remind people still. Like, I know I've struggled and I know it's been tough here, but all I need is a fresh change or a new coat of paint.
If I had to guess for Morgan, he's not like, let's go chase a cup next season. It's like, let's find somewhere we can raise a family, a long contract, have stability. Like, he'll be looking for something. And he has a 16 team, or is it a full no move entirely? I think
it's full.
Yeah, it's full.
So they're not going to get anything. They'll probably,
they're going to work with him. They respect him. He is a well-respected player around the league. Like, just focus on having a good finish here.
Yep. Agreed.
We should go. Scott Niedermayer tee up the Ducks.
Ooh,
next.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, boys.
Ducks talk.
I got to tell you, I took a cross ice pass in the boot today.
Right, we forgot to discuss.
And I was wearing my old Grasps because
which are as thick as those Nikes you got on.
And it was fine for a while. But if you're watching on YouTube or on sports and you see me wince, like, I am in deathly pain.
Hey.
Like, it has gotten 10 times worse than last time.
You ready for the meds here? I got
yes,
meds.
I've taken a beating.
It's a leave time.
I've taken a beating this winter.
You have.
I've broken ribs, vertigo. stitches.
Back the other day.
And my back went out
you
last
had
week.
4 legitimate physical injuries
Sam,
and showed up every day.
I broke my back. Violin, Sammy.
I'm like crying.
Can I ask you something?
Really painful.
The guy that gave you the pass.
No, I put my foot up to block a cross ice pass.
The laser sauce.
You did.
Like,
Okay, it wasn't a teammate that.
No, it was just like an instinctive thing that I immediately regretted. It's killing me. So we'll see.
Never defend.
A bone bruise. It's hard to break something down there.
Have you seen my feet? No, I got alien feet, brother.
Do you?
Oh yeah, I got the
Just
arches
look
of
like wooden rakes.
I got the arches of a dancer, bro.
Could you peel an orange with your toes?
That would be me if we're talking about anything
absolutely
with gross toes.
No question.
All right. Let's move on. Get off feet, would you? Scott Niedermayer, Hockey Hall of Famer, special advisor to the Ducks. They go tonight against the Toronto Maple Leafs. We'll have him next after these words. Welcome back to our Leaf Hour edition of the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sam McKee. Toronto Maple Leafs hosting the Anaheim Ducks tonight at Scotiabank Arena, where, boys, like who saw the Ducks atop the Pacific Division?
Not me.
Maybe we're a bit of a sexy pick this year. Young team, Quenneville taking over. Like I think they had a bit of buzz. Maybe not this good though.
The biggest thing about this team is the size and talent of their young forwards.
Yeah.
Gauthier, Seneca,
yeah.
Carlson. They're all 6'2", 6'3", 210, and just talented. Mason McTavish isn't small. God, Kreider's a monster up front. Like they're a big forward group.
Is this the perfect team to come in here and like force the Leafs, to force the Leafs to come up with a big game here? Like they got boys, they got to win one here. We don't expect them to lose every game here from here on in. No, come on.
No.
We got a lot of losses.
They'll win a few games, but like the Ducks are
good
in competing. These are big games for the Ducks. They're not going to be sleeping.
And Seneca, local kid, played for the Generals, coming in here. They're going to be all horned up for him. He's going to put money on the board. He's going to be good. He'll score a goal. They are going to beat the brakes off the Leafs.
No, this will be high scoring. The Ducks' defensive numbers are woeful.
I'm okay.
Woeful.
I'm okay. The Leafs, if they lose,
we get a 6-5 game coming.
Right? Yeah. I just put some pucks in the net. Get Austin going here. Find a way to put the puck in the net a couple of times.
I was going to say play the goal song a bunch, but I don't know what it is. I don't know anymore. I used to know, but then it was 6 things because they were indecisive. Indecisiveness, defining word of the era.
We're just momentarily away from Scott Niedermayer, 4-time Stanley Cup champion.
We're having some internet issues with him, so we may be calling him here, boys. Give me a second.
All right.
He is a special advisor to the hockey operations for the Ducks.
Which is the most perfect job you can have in hockey.
Well, he is Scott Niedermayer. And so they're like, we want your opinion on things. Will you be around and just pick a title?
So clearly, if Scott wanted to, maybe we'll bring this up with him. I mean, if the guy wanted to run a team, much like we've seen Hall of Famers out there, I mean, he could do it.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
All right.
Let's ask him.
Derek, do we have Scott?
We do.
Let's welcome him in. 4-time Stanley Cup champion, Hall of Famer, special advisor to hockey ops for the Anaheim Ducks. So I'm looking at the standings, Scott, and the Ducks are, I don't know if comfortable is the right word, but they have a gap between the Oilers and the Knights that no one saw coming. Is this all because of the great advising you've given them all season long?
Of hockey?
No, that's about as good as my internet right now. But no, you know what? It's been a lot of things, and it hasn't been overnight. There's been some difficult years down in Anaheim, and our young guys have definitely taken a step. I think Joel Quenneville coming in was very helpful. The addition of a guy like Kreider to go out and sort of play a certain role. Trouba's having a good year. We've had a lot of things go right this year, which has been good. And as on top of that, I guess you just talked about Vegas and Edmonton maybe not having their best of years. So we're kind of in the mix with those teams, which is great.
There's an interesting, almost like, I don't know, 2 tiers of ages on your team. You kind of got a bunch of young guys and a bunch of old guys. Have you been on teams like that? How does that dynamic work? Does someone have to bridge the gap to connect the two?
Yeah, I'm not in the room enough to really make a comment. I don't think I have. You're right. It's a pretty unique situation where, we've got some guys with some good experience. They've been in the league a long time, and that was by design. I mean, it's a tough league. There's a lot to learn for young guys, and we're hoping that we've got guys in there. We know we have guys in there that know what the NHL is about, that have had success, and our young guys can learn things from. So that's why it's sort of structured that way. Probably traded away a few of our middle guys a few years ago to sort of really start the rebuild, and this is what you end up with.
You mentioned some of the young guns here, and you also mentioned Chris Kreider. Jacob Trouba's another one that I certainly can look at and say, great leadership. You know, it was good enough for the Rangers to name him captain once upon a time. But, you know, how influential have they been for your young players?
Well, I think the big thing is just the consistency, you know, stabilizing our team, our approach to it's a long season, the ups and downs, and they just keep coming to work, doing their job. They know what it is. And I just think that's a great example for our young guys to see. It is tough to be consistent over 82 games, you know, and then shooting for the playoffs. So those guys kind of demonstrate that to our young guys. And I think obviously Joel Quenneville as well, obviously the amount of experience he has, just won his 1,000th game, regular season game, which was a heck of an accomplishment. And, you know, having him behind the bench is sort of doing the same thing for our young guys. And hopefully they are learning, you know, quicker than the average young guy. And we can get more competitive as time goes on.
Scott, for Leafs fans, we have you in Leafs Hour here. So for Leafs fans trying to understand the young players that you guys have there, I wonder if you can help us tell us the differences between, you know, particularly Karlsson, Gauthier, and Seneca. Because I look for years here in Toronto, it was like people talked about the core, like they were one person, but Willie Nylander played nothing like John Tavares, played nothing like Matthews. So those three players, how are they different in the way they're having success?
Yeah, I guess start with Cutter Gauthier. He's a shooter, really good skater as well. Has played a lot with Leo Carlsson, who kind of, you know, loves to transport the puck, you know, moves the puck as well as has a good shot as well. But those two guys together, both can skate extremely well, have a high end level of skill. And Beckett Seneca coming in this year as a 19-year-old, you know, he maybe had a little bit of a slow start in rookie camp and the early part of training camp, but he's just continued to improve and get better. And obviously has a high level of skill as well. He loves to control the puck. He doesn't mind protecting it in difficult areas. And he's a real competitive kid. And that's the part I love about him is he loves to go to the net. He doesn't mind mixing it up a little bit. Someone gives him a bit of a shot, you know, he'll keep an eye out for them the next couple shifts. Mm-hmm. That's important. If you want to compete and try and win, you have to have some of that in your lineup and in your team. And I'm kind of excited to see that element of his game for sure.
You're watching and listening to Scott Niedermayer, four-time Stanley Cup champion, special advisor to the Anaheim Ducks. You mentioned Joel Quenneville here. If you look over the course of this season, what has stood out the most for you about Joel, who is often still regarded as one of the best coaches in the league?
Yeah, I didn't really know Joel before. I'd maybe met him briefly, but didn't know a lot about him. Obviously, you see his reputation, talked to a lot of people that had nothing but great things to say about how he coached and approached the game. And the thing that does stand out, I think he just has such a great feel for not only the team, but the individual players on where they're at, you know, what they need. If, you know, sometimes we do as players need a kick in the butt or we need to be challenged. He's not afraid to do that. But at the same time, as players, sometimes we need a pat on the back and some encouragement. And I think he just has a real good sense of how to sort of manage that, individual players and the whole team. And our guys have responded, you know, so far this year, and it's been fun. When you're in the depths of trying to rebuild the team, sometimes you wonder if, you know, the days are going to come when you can start competing and winning games or expect to win games. And I'm glad that at least now we're winning more than we're losing, and that's a step forward for us.
So, did you have a hand in that process in being patient when it wasn't going well and saying we need to, you know, either rebuild or hold on here, or what was your input as you guys tried to get back to this?
Well, it kind of, you know, happened when Pat Verbeek was hired. You know, Bob Murray, you know, was let go where he stepped down. They were looking for a new general manager. I think at that point we might have missed the playoffs already for 3 years, maybe something like that. And there really was no rebuild happening because continued to try to compete. We had some older, really good players and just hadn't had the success. But when the change was made, I think it was in some sense easier for Pat to come in, look at our team from a distance and kind of recognize what needed to happen. And he kind of got to work within a couple months. The deadline was next, and he made some trades of some older players to get some prospects and picks. And he went to work over the next few years, you know, watching a lot of junior hockey and trying to rebuild the talent in the organization. And we still have a ways to go. It'd still be great to get more talent, more young talent, but it at least feels we're headed in the right direction for the moment, which is good.
Scott, Justin Bourne just mentioned we are in our Leaf Hour edition of our show, so I'm going to bring it back to the blue and white a little bit. There is a connection between you, Tom Curvers, and the Toronto Maple Leafs in 1991. Lots of talk about the Leafs giving up a pick this draft, to the Boston Bruins. My question to you is, do you ever look back and wonder what could have been, or do people bring it up, or am I the only idiot here that does it now?
No, I think whenever I'm in Toronto or talking to somebody in Toronto, it gets brought up. It's interesting. Like, I don't even know if I knew that's how the pick got to New Jersey when they drafted me. I just knew they had the third pick. I went to the draft in Buffalo, ended up being picked by them, and, away you go. So I didn't really think too much about it. I think probably until, maybe I showed up in Toronto for my first game there and they started talking about it or asking a question about it. So, maybe about 7 years ago, I was at a game in Chicago and I'd never met Tom Curvers, and he came up to me and introduced himself with a big smile. And he kind of, talked about the connection we had and introduced himself, which was really cool for him to sort of do that. I'm sure a lot of the talk maybe wasn't always in the best light for him in that situation, but he was such a great guy. Came up and introduced himself, like I said, so it's kind of neat.
Kim,
Wonderful person.
I didn't grow up in Toronto. What happened here? What I missed?
The Leafs traded for a defenseman and gave up their first pick that ended up being Scott Niedermayer.
Oh, jeez, guys.
Well, in that year, Eric Lindros was the first overall pick, and there was probably even more concern at the time about maybe losing that player with the pick as well. So yeah, probably interesting times there in Toronto.
Very interesting.
Yeah, Sam, not happy with that. Other guy on the team I wanted to ask you about, Lucas Dostal. He's just been absolutely lights out. Was it clear early on in this guy's career that he was going to be the number one there? Because right now it's just he's one of the league's best already.
Yeah, I think what really stands out with him, obviously he's talented, but he's a real pro. I mean, he's been around now for a bit, but still relatively young, and just the way he approaches the game, he's a real competitor. His preparation, everything is as good as you'd see in pro hockey. And I think that's, you need guys like that too in your organization. And I think if it's your goalie, that just gives everybody confidence knowing that, they got a guy back there doing everything he can to help our team and stop pucks. And yeah, he's been good for us. Been good for the Czech Republic, had success with them as well last year and won a world championships, I think 1 or 2 years ago. So he's proven he can sort of handle some pressure, and, he loves being a net. He loves the challenge of trying to stop pucks.
It's going to be a great finish here, Scott. We really appreciate your time. Best of luck the rest of the way. Thanks for doing this.
No problem, guys. Good talking to you. Thanks.
Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Scott Niedermayer. Just hold on. There's a bit of a follow-up to that story in 1991 that once the Leafs found out that they were flirting with the basement, they went and made another trade with the Quebec Nordiques. And they pulled two veterans, I can't remember who, and sent them draft picks. So
they wouldn't bottom out.
So they wouldn't bottom out and have the first overall pick go to New Jersey, which was Eric Lindros.
They couldn't be seen as having given away Eric Lindros.
Yes.
So probably
Eric, if they don't make the Curvers trade for the first rounder,
they bottom out and get Eric.
They get Eric Lindros. Oh. Did you know that, Sammy?
I did. I barely knew it, but I did kind of know that.
Like if you had to give Boston the pick this year, if you're the Leafs, maybe you should have added at the deadline just to give them a worse pick. But obviously, there's different stipulations. Yeah. Hey, fun fact with the clauses on the Leafs pick thing this year. Did you know?
Clauses.
So this year their pick is top 5 protected. So
yes.
If they finish the top 5, they get to keep it. Boston,
well, not guaranteed because the
lottery could bump them out.
It could bump them out.
Yeah. So, but let's say they get their pick in the top 5 this year. Next year, Boston's pick gets bumped to the next year.
Yes.
If Toronto were to then finish in the bottom 10 again.
Yes.
So like a really bad whatever. They would actually get to pick whether they want to give the pick to Boston or Philly. So then Boston could, if you gave it to Philly, Boston would get bumped to 2028 unprotected.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I just learned it this morning from Rory Boylan, our editor.
Yeah, Roy Boylan broke that news to me today.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
So there's a way.
There's some flexibility then.
Yes. So I'm not saying that is a plus. I'm just saying that it's the way it's all going to shake out if they're bad for some years. By the way, there's a world where 2028 is the year they're the worst.
For sure.
As they hang on here and try to make it work for another year or two.
They trade everyone away. Yeah.
There's a year where this is a nightmare, the whole thing.
Yeah.
This is my nightmare.
And you get Eric Lindros first overall. I promised this yesterday, and this is the new segment that I promised you, Kyper, that you were going to be. It's called Kyper's Tank Watch. Okay? Because I knew you were going to be really fired up with the segment, so I want to name it after you, brother.
It's okay. I appreciate that.
So these are the games we need tonight.
Yeah.
Need the Devils over the Flames. Okay? Flames are uncatchable in terms of awfulness. And the Devils are right around the Leafs.
1 point difference to the Leafs.
Need the Devils over the Flames. Okay?
Yeah,
Which is doable.
Yep.
Need St. Louis over Carolina. Feels a little bit more, a little tougher.
That ain't happening.
It's in Carolina too, I think.
No,
So it's a tougher one.
That's a hard L.
Need Jets over Rangers tonight. Because
That's doable.
Because Jets are, I think, 2 points ahead of the Leafs, or right there in terms of flirting around with the Leafs. Need Chicago over Utah tonight in Utah.
Okay.
And you need Nashville over Vancouver tonight in
A
Vancouver.
lot of bad teams playing tonight.
Just give me a chance.
So there we go. That's what we need tonight. On Kipper's Tank Watch, we'll get the sounder for tomorrow. I guess like a gunshot. The drivers won't love that.
I'm adding to this.
Okay.
Kipper's Tank standings.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. Devils over Flames. Who are you taking?
Devils.
Devils. For
All right.
sure, yeah.
Devils. Okay, that's three of us.
Okay.
St. Louis over Carolina.
No chance. Carolina's winning.
Let's get a point for St. Louis in overtime.
Okay, Sammy takes St. Louis.
No, I'll take Carolina in overtime. We'll get a point.
All right. Jets, Rangers.
Jets.
You just hope that's not a 3-point game.
Yeah.
I'll take Rangers.
Okay. But you do hope it's a 3-point game.
Oh, you're right. You do.
You're hoping for a 3-point game.
Points,
Yeah,
points,
you're
points,
the
points,
opposite.
points.
Utah over
my
Chicago for me.
I'm going Utah over Chicago too.
Chicago's pretty uncatchable.
Yeah, they're pretty awful.
Okay.
Well, they're right there.
So we're
5 points
then
back.
Nashville over Van.
Yeah. So that's what we
Okay.
need. That's what we need tonight, boys.
Okay,
Oh, here we
we're
go.
This is this.
Kipper's
Oh,
Tank.
they already labeled the board.
Thanks, Jakey boy.
Wow.
good. Sammy, you really thought of this.
I wish I could take credit for this, but this is all Jake.
Look how doable this is.
It's so doable, boys. It's so doable. Winnipeg's only 3
This
points
is going
back. against
against every fiber in my body.
Listen,
So you're telling me there's a chance?
then why is your name on the standing? Because
All right. Can they keep it close? I'm happy if they keep it close tonight.
I think there's
Against
lots
Anaheim.
of fun to see tonight. It's, high scoring game. Riley finds it a bit. Pizzetta creates some excitement.
7-2 Ducks.
Bogru gets a
No, not 7-2.
7-2 Ducks. You're
Not
going to run
7-2.
him off the
6-5.
Yeah, I'm
Who's
okay with
starting
that.
for the lead?
Let's get 10, 11 goals in. Right?
All right.
Okay. Coming up national. Eddie Olczyk.
Oh, we're due.
Give me
Go
a
on.
chance. And Ken Boehlke to talk a little Vegas, Sammy.
Yeah, they stink, so we should probably find out what's going on.
All right, we will. Plenty more. Don't go away. It's a real Kyper and Bourne show. All right, let's get her going. The Real Kyper and Bourne Show. It is our national edition of our show. We are live on Sportsnet, 650 in Vancouver, 960 in Calgary, and streaming always on Sportsnet Plus. Also available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, where we appreciate the chats and the thumbs up for our boy Sammy and JB. None for me. I got to behave this today.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
We got guests. We can let the guests do the talking.
And we got a good one in Eddie Olczyk, former NHLer, does a great job now on TNT. He'll join us in a few minutes. As a reminder, this hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. All right, boys. Where do you want to go?
I want to talk. Did you guys happen to watch Montreal-Ottawa last night?
I did, yeah. It was a really good game.
Great game. I mean, that electric sequence.
And a really, really good goalie in Montreal last night.
And
Fowler was fantastic.
It was great. I actually was going to bring up the other goalie who made some big saves early.
Yeah.
Wasn't overly tested. God, that second goal, the wraparound. Could you have had less equipment on the goal line? Could you have gotten out of the way any more than he did? I'm just saying.
He's been good.
I know.
Ottawa's been good. But
this is the thing where it's like you just need.
I didn't like the game-winning goal for sure. Demidov.
I know that he
rebound.
only gave up 3 goals or whatever, but it's like you just need that one more. And this is Ottawa's season in a nutshell.
Can't give out that rebound.
No.
Like, to me, that's the equivalent of being tied late and getting 3 guys caught behind the net.
Right. That's like one of those basic, you can't do it.
That's a bad pinch that caused a 2-on-1. Like, that's...
Oh, my God.
That
Look
is
at the Habs fans in that building.
that's the mistake of that rebound.
And what's worse about the rebound is he acts like he's got it or he thinks he's got it, which might be even worse for so long because he's not feeling it right. Or
Sammy, did you get... do we have any sound of his post-game interview?
Of Olmark?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
just play a clip
Yeah,
of
we'll play it a
Eeyore.
little later.
Okay.
Find it.
Wait, I mean, if you asked me, like, any time during the day, I would have done that.
I know. I know.
Like, literally.
What did he say?
Anytime.
He was just really standoffish with the media and the questions.
Yeah.
Like, it's like
Media's to blame.
you
for-
just try to, like, I can't remember the term that he used, but it was like a reply I've never heard in any post-game interview in my life.
He is.
And it was just like, yeah, good point. Yeah, that's a good point too. And then that was it.
They just let him off the hook.
Well, no, I don't know if they let him off the hook or it's just he's just one of those guys where it's like you'd rather be a million miles away than answering your question. And no matter whether or not you threw him a softball or anything otherwise, this was his answer.
Mm-hmm. It's Elias Pettersonitis.
That's exactly what it was. It was like, I have no time for you guys. Let's get this over with, and I'm moving on.
But boy, was that game fast, back and forth.
So we showed the if you're watching on Sportsnet or on YouTube, they showed the crowd pop for the Montreal Canadiens. Like, they make fun of the Leaf fans for taking over, but I mean, that Habs fan, I think that's a joke. Like, I mean, that's
in Ottawa.
In Ottawa.
Well, they used to court those fans, right? Like they're close to Quebec, and it's
you're in a playoff race. It's a big game. Everybody's talking about how big a game is your own building, and that's the pop. It's like, God, that's embarrassing. No wonder people make fun of the Sens. Like, that's how do you that's crazy.
It's tough. They've been not great. They're in a tough spot to get people.
They've been not
in the
great.
building.
They were the best. They're in the playoffs the first time in forever last year. They got good young players. That's a bad look.
I know it was a tough loss, but they're still trending up, and Detroit's trending down.
Oh, I know. Detroit 2 weeks without Dylan Larkin
and Kopp,
and 2 weeks without Andrew Kopp.
Yeah, that's your best centers right there.
There's not a lot of time.
That's why last night bugged me for
there's not a lot of time for other teams, but I look at Ottawa with their loss last night, and I still go, there's time here, guys, to make the playoffs.
There absolutely is, and that's why it's tough to watch those games where they just keep, like, by expected everything, they're just one of the best teams. Top 5 defensive team. My buddy, who's a Sens fan, just keeps texting me, Valley was right. Valley was right about Allmark. Valley called it before the season.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he called it
last year
when he signed there.
Yes.
That he was like, this guy, if you get him away from the duo, see how it goes, blah, blah, blah.
He's like, I'm not sure he wants to be the guy to be in the
blah,
net.
blah, blah. I shouldn't say that about Bally.
Yeah, no, but it's the yada yada over
yada, yada.
important information.
The other news with the Ottawa Senators is that they're getting their first round pick back that was taken away from them in the
Donov trade,
which was done by Pierre Dorion.
Dorian to Vegas.
I'm going to file a claim to the league to get the least pick back from the Carlo trade.
Pierre Dorion. Pierre Dorion was very loyal.
Pierre Dorion.
Obviously, Mike Andlauer has been very public about this.
Yes.
And I guess stated a strong enough case to get them to change their minds.
I think it's a real win for Andlauer. You know, he was outspoken about it. There was precedent with the Kovalchuk deal. They wielded it effectively. He's willing to pay the $1 million to get another pick. I think kudos to him. Got a pick back.
Do you think there's a little bit of, we got to help these guys out?
I think there's more we can't cut their legs out from under them. You know, they just paid, what did he pay? Almost $1 billion for the franchise. You know, we can't then come in and say, you didn't do this, but I know.
I like it for Ottawa, right? Yeah. I like it for Ottawa. It's still really hard, whether it's Ottawa or maybe some other teams in Canada, but I know they tried to get a few guys to come and they got shut out a little bit.
Is that right? See, this is the thing. Right? It's tough to run these teams where people don't want to come.
And yes. And I think the league threw them a bone a little bit here. And I got to be honest with you. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, it's tough hearing that, you know, because again, you want these to be loaded teams and competitive.
The opposite of that is that the next time we hear of somebody losing a pick,
I know
you're going to say, oh, you know, give it a couple of years and we'll see.
But you need to make the case that, hey, it was someone else who did it. It wasn't me.
Yeah, it's a different ownership. That's the smoking gun. That's the ability to be like, hey, look at this. It wasn't the same ownership. It wasn't.
By the same token, you're buying the team knowing that's there, right?
Yeah, listen, I mean,
anyway,
I totally agree.
All right, let's welcome him in. Just give me a chance. Just give me a chance. Eddie Olczyk, former National Hockey Leaguer, TNT hockey expert.
Give me a chance.
Where are you right now? If you can't see him, he's on Zoom. He looks like he's been bobbing for French fries. What you been in the sun all day?
What the hell does that mean, bobbing for French fries? What is that?
Your face looks a little red. Have you been out in the sun?
Oh, no, I haven't, actually. I've been inside all day.
Okay.
No,
okay. I thought maybe you're in Florida, California.
Well, I can't disclose where I am right now, so I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, I'm pretty close then.
No, not really, but yeah, I can't disclose where I am. What's going on? How you guys doing? Barney, how are you, man?
We're hanging
bucks,
in.
Man.
We're hanging in.
No, not you. I'm not talking to you, Kyper.
All right,
I'm talking
all
to
right.
Barney and Sammy right now.
You know,
hey, who's in charge? Whoever's in charge there, can you put Sammy where Kyper is? And I'd like to just see Sammy and Barney right about now. That'd be a hell of a line. That would be a hell of a line.
You just fired us. You just fired me. Actually, we did play a pickup game earlier this year. We were a line.
Dynamic.
And I'm not tooting our own horn, but I think we finished with 17 points that game.
Yeah, we were pretty good. Put up some numbers, Eddie.
When was the last time you were on the ice?
Oh, man. I'm going to say it was in the Peg. I think when Edmonton was there for
outdoor
one of the Heritage games,
yeah.
I think that was the last time. So I think that might have been before I was sick, too. So, I mean, that's got to be probably 7-8 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. So that was the last time. And I'll probably just say this for the record. That will always be the last time.
That's the retirement game.
Hey, the only thing you miss about the game is the 16th and the 31st then, right? When you got paid.
That's not funny at all. That's not funny at all. It's not funny.
Okay.
All right. Well, let me ask you about the National Hockey League, Eddie.
All right, Barney.
The fascinating team to us here in this show, Buffalo Sabres, first place in the Atlantic Division. Are they real? Is there something to this, or is this just a little, flash in the pan as they turn things around?
I mean, I think it's a great unknown. I think a lot of people felt coming off the Olympic break that would the break their momentum, and Lindy's got them going the same way, and they might even be better right now with how they're playing this last little while, and they've won a lot of different ways, have they not? They've won some low-scoring games. They've won some high-scoring games. They've won some games that if you turned on the television and there was no score bug or time in the corner of your television, you might have thought it was 1978 or 1980. Now, I know the Tampa Bay Lightning weren't around back in those days, but I think you guys know what I mean. Like they're standing up, and you look at the trades that that Jarmo was able to make at the end and at the trade deadline, and you've added some grit and some leadership in a guy like Shen, and then you bring in a guy like Stanley. So they've really, why would they slow down? Mm-hmm. Now, maybe the playoffs are going to be a different animal, but I think that they answered the bell that the break wasn't going to be, wasn't going to slow them down at all, because the break has affected a couple of teams around the league. There's no doubt about it, both in a positive way and a negative way. But Buffalo's been obviously a great story, and I'm happy for so many people there. And I made mention the other night doing one of our TNT games down here in the States. We were talking about Buffalo, and you got to know that the legend himself, the great Rick Jeanneret, would be smiling down on what his old team was doing right now, because I think people have been waiting for this, and give Lindy Ruff credit. They've turned this thing around, and there looks like there's a lot of belief from the outside. And that's obviously something that we all know something about, is that when you got guys that can believe in one another and you start getting on this train going downhill, you could put two teams out on the other side of the ice. You're not going to beat us. And that seems like they're playing with that kind of a air or a mindset right now.
You're watching and listening to Eddie Olczyk from Parts Unknown.
Did you forget my name?
I think he was going to call you Ed, and then he realized he couldn't do it. I think he caught himself.
I was going to get in really big trouble. Really big trouble. Hey, one more on the Buffalo Sabres. Do you have a vote on General Manager of the Year? And if you did, would Kevin Adams be on your list?
I think that there's a lot of meat on the bone there, considering before they went on this heater that they had won a couple in a row, and then Jarmo comes in and he hires Mark Bergevin, and now they've been the best team in the National Hockey League. I don't think that you can argue that, and you could argue Tampa was until the break, and they've had a tough time here since the Olympic break. But no, I would probably say no, just from the fact of not enough in that office, in that chair for this year, Kyper.
It is incredible, though. I don't think we've ever seen this before.
No, it is. It is uncharted. It is territory that you sit there and you shake your head and go, like, honestly, like, would they be a different team now if Kevin Adams was still in charge? Well, the thing that I would say is that, I'd like to think the people that I've talked to, that this is pretty close to being legit. I think that once that happened, it got everybody's attention, and then it was reaffirmed by the new management team to a lot of people within the front office and around the ice surface, and maybe that had something to do with it as well. So a combo of Jarmo and Kevin Adams, I would say I wouldn't have a problem with that at all, because you see what's gone on here. It's been pretty amazing.
Very quick, Lindy Ruff story. There's a time when the Islanders were spinning their wheels and just giving out like questionnaires to alumni to fill out for the next head coach. They were like, I don't know, we just need someone. Clark Gillies took one of them, and he had Lindy fill it out, and it was so well done that they invited Clark for a head coaching job interview, and he had no idea what had been on the sheet that he had filled out. So he didn't get the job.
Bourne. You know that Sammy filled out Kyper's questionnaire here when you guys got this gig. You know that, right? You know that, right?
He's all over you today. I do.
No, he deserves it.
I don't expect anything less.
I come on. I take some time out because I love you guys, and somebody probably canceled on Kyper. First off,
Never.
So I don't mind coming out of the bullpen. I don't mind being that guy.
You're our starter, okay?
No, but then you attack the color of my face right that's not a good thing. I don't think that's a good thing. So for future, just in case, like, don't rip on somebody's appearance when they get up.
Okay.
You should do it at the end of the show, not at the beginning.
Listen, I'm in my 26th year of broadcasting. I learned something new today.
Oh my gosh. Hold on. Let me here, folks. This is what he's doing. Okay. 26 years. Okay. Here's Kyper Bourne.
Get an official in here. Get a ref between these guys. Tens. But I was transitioning to the Islanders because I do want your thoughts on the Islanders. They've been fascinating, with the Schaefer turnaround, but they did kind of make a surprising move, getting Schenn at the deadline. Some people in Long Island think little soon, maybe not quite ready for that sort of ad. What did you think of what they did there and the direction of things? Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Well, you look at the door is open in the Eastern Conference, is it not?
For sure.
Why? I mean, look at the goalie. Look at the goalies that they got there.
Yeah.
You play the Islanders in a 7-game series. Why can't Sorokin be that guy to go ahead and win? Win 13 of 15 or 16 games. Like, he has that ability, and all of a sudden, you're right there. So I like the aggressiveness. And when you mentioned Schaefer, I mean, when you watch this young kid play, it's so awesome to see, especially a guy on the back end, to be able to just kind of control what goes on out there, and it forces them to play faster when he is on the ice. And I think we did 2 Islander games a little bit earlier in the season, so before the Olympic break, and talking to Patrick Waugh about him, and you could just see the excitement, Bourne and Kyper, talking about him, and just how much he has grown in a short period of time. But just to know that there's probably, another couple of steps to be able to take, because you get more experience and you do get around the league a couple of times. And he may be one of those guys where you go in the next year, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head here, here's a young guy that comes into the league, and what are we playing? An extra 3/4 to 7/8 of a game more a week because of the condensity of the schedule and because of the Olympic break. Could you imagine him in a normal setting or in a normal season where he gets all this little extra time off, and think about that? Like, he would be the type of guy that, like a lot of players, because they're all great conditioned athletes, but to think that, wow, the next year, man, this isn't as hard as it was last year.
There's more to give. Yeah.
And all of a sudden he may be even better just because of the schedule. So I think there's a lot to it, but I like what the Islanders have done. I think Lou Lamoriello deserves a lot of credit for going out there and doing some of the moves that he did and the signings he did, but also being able to convince Patrick Waugh to come to the island. And you could say he's done a really, really good job with this team. And this is a team that I think becomes dangerous if they can stay in the spot that they are, because I think that the East has a chance to go sideways at some point very early in the playoffs. And then why not just get in? And I think that they can get in. And with the goaltending, why not?
And so when you talk about certain teams that maybe take a chance that aren't quite ready to win, there is that danger of depleting the draft pool. That's what happened to the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they find themselves in quite the predicament right now. What would you do? If they were smart enough to hire you?
I said what I would have done 3 playoffs ago. I think it was the Nick Paul game. I think Game 7, right? I'm not sure if it was 3 years ago or not. I'm being totally honest. I'm not sure if it was 3 or 4 years ago. It doesn't matter. I thought that was the time to go ahead and make those hard decisions and figure out who your core was to be able to do a quick little rebuild and retool on the fly. and go from there. Like that time, that opportunity, I thought presented itself then, and now you see what has ended up happening. And I think that anything should be on the table moving forward. That would be front and center. Now, again, we understand with the way that players have their contracts, and there are certain things you can and can't do as a manager, and whether or not you were the manager that gave out these contracts or not. I think that anything should be on the table moving forward for the Maple Leafs, because think about how close they were last year. And I know Leaf fans don't want to hear it. And you could be talking about LA too here, guys, right?
Yep.
They had Edmonton over a barrel. They were up in their series. They were up 2 games, and they weren't able to close them down. The Leafs were up on the Florida Panthers. They weren't able to shut them down. And look at all of a sudden where they are. Even go back 2 years ago to Vancouver. Think about it. They had Quinn Hughes, JT Miller, Rick Tocchet, Coach of the Year. You had Pettersson there. And then my understanding is that Marty Necas was available for the Vancouver Canucks to move Pettersson for Necas in some sort of a deal. Oh. And they didn't. And look at what has happened to Vancouver. And sometimes it just goes that way. I understand that. Pettersson gets a long-term deal. Tocchet leaves. JT Miller is out for a lot of different reasons. And where's Quinn Hughes now? Well, you saw what he did at the Olympics, and now he's getting, almost, 2 assists a game in Minnesota. So it changes very quickly. But I think if you're able to have the right people in the right positions, regardless of where it is in the NHL, that have the autonomy and the ability to be able to go and do what they think, is that I think you'd rather be aggressive than to sit back and just say, well, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. So, Bourne, go back to what you asked me about the Islanders. Like, I like the aggressiveness. If you have to give up picks or whatever, when's the last time the Islanders have made a run? Like, it's been a long time. Like, they deserve it. The guys in the room deserve it. The fan base deserves it. Toronto was no different, Kipper. I'll go back to what we were talking about with the Leafs. I know what I would do. Nobody's asking me my opinion, which is fine. But at the end of the day, anything should be on the table, because I think that window, the last couple of years, it's getting to the point where if you don't fix it quicker, that window is going to be completely shut. And all of a sudden you're going to have guys leaving town and you're not going to get anything for them.
There's a lot of guys who have had opinions on a couple of teams. The Leafs are always one. There's lots of opinions on that. The other in Canada is the Oilers, right? Everyone has had their solution. What should have happened, what might have happened. Sure. This year at the deadline, they get a couple defensive specialists, Dickinson, Murphy, right? Even Doc. I don't know. You've seen them in the postseason in big spots. Is this enough? Do they have enough to be better than they've been in the past in playoffs?
I'm a little concerned with the journeys that they've been on the last couple of years. That's the first thing, Bourne. I saw them the other night in their win in Colorado. We did that game down here in the States on TNT. The Oilers Avalanche game the other night. I saw them in person for the first time in a while. I like their team. I think, obviously, like a lot of teams, there are some holes. But my biggest concern would be with them, because the 2 big boys in Bouchard, like they can say, okay, let's go, guys. We're going to make another run and what have you. But the only thing I would be concerned about is at some point, all the hockey that the Oilers have played, and in particular, when you look at the 4 nations for Connor, and I know he's the best player in the world, and sometimes it takes its toll. I would just be a little concerned is, can they get through a couple of rounds in order to give themselves a chance to get back to the conference finals? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but I don't mind their team, because I think, especially in the Pacific, if you get the right matchup, why can't the Oilers go on another run when you look at the teams that they're going to be battling? Vegas has holes. Anaheim has holes. How about the job Joel Quenneville's done in Anaheim? I mean, man, oh man, you talk about somebody that should be nominated for Coach of the Year. How do you not start out with Joel Quenneville and think about where Anaheim is and all the changes that they've made and all the injuries that they've had? Certainly his resume speaks for itself. So Edmonton, my biggest concern would be, and yeah, you want to look at the goaltending. Jari has been not very good, but he came in relief the other night and did a hell of a job when Ingram got run over by Nathan McKinnon. So for me, I would be concerned about all the hockey the Oilers have played, especially the big boys. Now, will Chris Knobloch continue to go to the big boys and play them together, because when he does that, obviously, you know, they become a lot more shorthanded when you put all your eggs in one basket. But it's worked the last 2 years. Can it work for a third one? I would probably lean more no than yes, just because of how much hockey the big boys have played here. Because at some point, it's just going to run out of gas. That's just my opinion.
Still wide open here, Edzo. Really appreciate it. Hey, we need a shout out for our buddy Mike Hartman, who had a bit of a health challenge here the last couple of weeks. So just thinking of him, you know.
Absolutely, Hardy, one of the best and the inventor of give me a chance, give me a chance. So Hardy, we love you, man. And also, I do want to make mention of two things. One on a positive and one obviously on a big negative, but. Congratulations to Paul Coffey, back with the Oilers on the coaching staff and going to be honored by the NHL Alumni Association. So way to go, Coff is man of the year, and just got a chance to play with Coff for a short period of time, and just a world-class guy both on and off the ice. And we lost a great one in Troy Murray, longtime NHLer, Selke Trophy back in the 85-86 season with the Chicago Blackhawks, longtime broadcaster, Stanley Cup champion with the Colorado Avalanche. We lost Troy a few days ago, and I've known Troy Murray for 44 years of my life, and was a mentor, a great teammate. We were in each other's weddings. We both married former flight attendants. We were broadcasters with the Blackhawks for 16 years, and we both battled the Big C, and he was there for me for day one. And I send my well wishes to his family out there in the suburbs of Edmonton, and all his family and friends and former teammates. Played in Ottawa, played in Winnipeg, former captain of the Jets, and just a tremendous guy, and more importantly, a great person. So we're going to miss Troy, and I loved him. I loved him like a brother, and this was a hard one. This was a bad loss for the National Hockey League and the community. Troy was one of the best. So thanks for letting me give those shout outs, and thinking about Hardy, and you guys keep up the great work. And when somebody cancels again on you, Kipper, just make sure you give me a call. All right.
Edzo,
Sorry, Edzo. Thanks so much, pal.
You're a class act, man. You're a class act. That's all I got for you, buddy. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, Edzo. Have a great day. Thanks, pal.
Love you.
I love you guys too.
Beautiful.
Eddie Olczyk, one of the best.
Real Kyper Bourne Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
First ballot.
First line. No greater emotional range during our interviews with him than with
he's
Edzo.
just the man.
Highs and lows.
So,
But it just picture that all season long,
I know.
every day, morning stretch,
Relentless.
buses, hotel lobbies, after the game.
Would you ever tell him just to leave you alone? Like, just turn it off. I couldn't keep up. He's too sharp.
he is as sharp as they get.
We had 7 of them.
Yeah.
We had Glenn Healy.
Oh, my God.
We had
And that's a team
Phil
you guys won
Boehlke.
with. Yeah.
We had Mike Richter, who would never shut up.
God, that must have been some dressing
Oh
room.
my God, it was amazing.
No.
It was so much
Not
fun.
enough microphone to go
Mike
around
Hartman,
in there. Yeah.
it was the best. That's how you get thick skin
Yeah.
quickly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's how you can handle a market like Toronto and Edmonton and Vancouver.
Anything in those rooms. Probably my strongest memory of hockey dressing rooms and vibe is just like, you just don't get away with anything.
Not a thing.
No
Game
one
time?
cuts you any slack.
Game time?
Game time.
So I just want to put this out there. I was talking about this a little bit at the end of the Leafs hour, but my foot is in extreme pain. And Bourne gave me some stuff, and I forgot I had a foot. So
it's just Advil or ibuprofen, which is the same thing. And
No,
Tylenol.
actually,
I'm not sure what.
It's an extra strength cocktail. That's all we're saying.
yeah. It was the stuff that put you under a bridge, I think, about 7 years ago.
I forgot I have
You
a
could have
foot.
got into that bottle. I don't know. Not sure what I gave him.
Anyways, it's game time. Presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds. Listen 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. The Leafs hosting the Ducks tonight, and I just want to give this one out because I have not been more sure about an anytime goal scorer. Beckett Seneca played for the Oshawa Generals, Toronto, Ontario native. First game back here in the NHL. Well, first game here in the NHL, period. I think he's got 20 goals already this year. He's going to be super excited tonight. Leafs can't defend, and he's going to shoot one in the net. The number there is plus 240, so I really like that number.
Can't bet on Pizzetta Pims, can I?
Probably could, but I'm in no mindset to dig that up right now.
All right.
Looking elsewhere, the Edmonton Oilers are in Dallas to take on the Stars. Really good game there tonight. The Oilers' schedule recently has been pretty tough, and this is another one for them. They are plus 105 on the money line. Dallas Stars minus 125. Oilers have looked really good in 2 games in a row. Don't mind the Oilers at plus money there. Jari is the starter. Ingram actually on the bench backing up, so he's
All right.
alive after getting his head knocked off.
That's a great sign.
By McDavid.
What a stretch for the
McKinnon's
Oilers.
right.
They have Carolina, Colorado, Vegas, Dallas.
Yeah, big one for the Detroit Red Wings to get back on track tonight. They're playing Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is huge favorites in that game. Minus 220 on the money line. Detroit is plus 180 on the road. That was Game Time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
All right. I just pulled this out of my ear. I've done like 3/4 of the show with this thing in my
Wearing an
ear.
AirPod?
I didn't even notice.
Yeah. I did a hit with Sports Center. Or no, Sports Central.
Like this
I
morning.
can't even remember what they're called anymore. And I had them in the whole time. And do you ever do that?
Yeah, well, so I often
You
come home,
forget
my
they're
wife would be
there?
like, "Has your fly been open all day?" And I'm like, "Probably." I hadn't, I hadn't thought about it till this second.
All right. Okay, we'll take a quick break here.
Yeah, and do some Vegas after the break.
Ken Boehlke from Sin Bin Vegas.
You got it, buddy.
We'll catch up on the Golden Knights and what is going on with them.
Not for
That
sure.
and more when we return. As a reminder, this hour of Real Kyper Bourne brought to you by Bet365. The Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sam McKee.
I'm Eddie Olczyk's favorite analyst.
But he wants you in my chair. What is that?
Well, you did say he was bobbing for French fries before you said hello. So
He looked like he was in the sun.
Listen, I'm staying out of
you
it.
also said that to Doug Armstrong once, so you're not afraid to say it to people.
That was legit, though.
Yeah, he was cooked.
He was cooked. He was
Caught
cooked.
some sun that day.
All right, let's go to Ken Boehlke, who covers the Vegas Golden Knights, does a terrific job. Sinbin Vegas. Ken, we look at the standings. It went from first to third to a situation now where the Golden Knights have a 4-game homestead. Dare I say it, could the playoffs be in jeopardy here?
They still play in the Pacific Division. So let's not go nuts here. We're getting there. But like either the Kings or the Sharks have to knock them out. And like, is that realistic? I don't think so.
Right. Yeah, it's been fascinating. I think a lot of us just thought, addition to Marner and then addition to Rasmus Anderson, that this thing was kind of going to be take it to the next level. And it hasn't quite happened yet. Why is that?
I still think they're trying to kind of figure out how all these pieces fit together. And I think there might be a legitimate argument that they don't. They don't have a bona fide legitimate scorer. And then their defense is kind of repetitive, I would say. Anderson, Theodore, Hannafin, they're all kind of good at the same things. And they're all kind of not great at some of the same things. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing to this point.
As far as Mitch Marner is concerned, everybody knows him as one of the key guys for the Leafs all these years. Now he's in Vegas. He's playing center, which we didn't really see throughout his career. He's not necessarily on the ice a lot with Jack Eichel or Stone over the years. Yet he's finding himself as a point-of-game guy. But overall, what's it look like for you watching him make the transition from being a Leaf to a Vegas Golden Knight?
I really thought you'd get more dominance more often. There are certain times where you do see it. There are certain times where he does take over the game and really is key in every single situation they get the puck across the offensive blue line. But then there's other games that it's like, is Mitch playing tonight? And to me, it's like you would have thought for the amount of money they spent, for what the plan was. They exited last playoffs with 127 consecutive minutes of not scoring against Edmonton, and then went out and bought a scorer, or at least an assister, I guess is probably more likely. And they're not scoring. They have scored 7 or 13 goals in the last 7 games. So they're still trying to kind of figure out exactly how he fits. And again, kind of similar to what I said at the beginning, 65 games in, there might be an argument that it doesn't fit that well.
Mm-hmm. The fascinating thing with Vegas is like their defensive metrics are fantastic. Like they look like one of the best teams by expected goals against. I think SportLogic has them as the best team. So they're not the best in terms of pure goals against. The goaltending then gets called into question. How is this going to end up shaking out as they head towards playoffs?
It's definitely not been good enough, but I do think we have to have some context in that number that the Golden Knights are 31st in the league in time spent trailing. Like that goes a long way in expected goals and shot share and a lot of that because they're behind more often than not. They very rarely have the lead. So a lot of times it ends up being them pushing late in these games. And now, does that go back to goaltending? Yeah, probably. Why are you down all the time? Well, your goalie doesn't stop the puck from going in the net. That's a good way to get down more often than not. I do think like Hill's been kind of getting better over time. I think Akira Schmid kind of is what Akira Schmid is. And then they've had the other guys that have been in there. Hart was in there and got injured, wasn't particularly great. I just think they are similar to what it was before when they were great. When you're an excellent defensive team, when you're an excellent team, Adin Hill can do it. Mm-hmm. When you're not, he's kind of just another one of the guys that are in the mix of being halfway decent to good goalies in the NHL. He's not Bobrovsky, Vasilevsky, whoever, Sorokin, pick a great goalie. He's not that.
You're watching and listening to Ken Boehlke, who covers Vegas, founder and writer of Sin Bin Vegas. So, okay, he's not Bobrovsky and he's not Vasilevsky, but he is a guy that got a 6-year deal, I think, at $6.5 million. And we've seen Vegas over the course of, their inception to be, what have you done for me lately? If it's not good enough, we find a way to move on. Was there any inkling at all that they were looking at it, maybe a shorter term goaltending scenario here, or even they couldn't pull something like that off?
Well, they already did one. They did the Carter Hart thing. So I don't know what we're going to say about that other than he got injured fairly quickly. Wasn't particularly great in his 12 games. But like, when there's smoke, there's got to be some fire. I know Kelly McCrimmon kind of came out here and threw some insiders under the bus saying they had to justify their existence, which he likes to make comments like that anyway. But there's no doubt they were looking at goalie. They had to be looking at goalie. Nobody looks at the metrics this season and doesn't think at least it has something to do with what's going wrong. Now, you have to be able to find that match, and then it has to be a better goalie than Adin Hill. And I think there's an argument that Jordan Binnington's not. Maybe he's similar, but I don't know that he's like a massive upgrade over Adin Hill. Bobrovsky probably would have been, but we don't know what the cost would have been on that. And don't forget, the Golden Knights don't have a first-round pick this year, next year, or maybe the following year if they win the Cup. That one's going to Calgary too. So there's not a lot in the cupboard to deal with. Plus, all the other first-round picks are gone too.
It's weird watching Vegas, who always makes the big move, always gets the player at the deadline, be like, Nick Dowd. That's going to be, but I do want to know, how has it fit? Is it does it plug a hole that you feel like Vegas had?
I don't think it plugs a hole necessarily, because Colton Sissons kind of is Nick Dowd. He was just injured. They're very similar, solid to good fourth liners. I think they were looking to do something. We got to get better in some way. Let's try and do something. It reminds me a little of last year with Riley Smith. The year they won the Cup, they did Teddy Bluger. They've looked to kind of try and upgrade that. I don't think it's gone great or poorly. He doesn't really score. He's not going to generate offense. They've been a little bit better forechecking since the deadline, but they're also 1-6 in their last 7 games. So how much better has it actually been? It happened. It's Nick Dowd. It's not the splashy one, but they also did Rasmus Anderson about a month before, and that one not really working all that well, and he doesn't have a contract yet.
Ken, the payoff for trading for Mark Stone with Ottawa years ago certainly is paid off, and we know that. But this is the time of year that looks familiar, right? Where he just kind of disappears,
Give him a second.
and then comes back into the playoffs and looks fantastic. Are we just to assume that will happen again? He's got one more year left on his deal. I think that would open up another chance to go and get another $10 million player. But in the meantime, can he come back and still be a key cog here?
Man, he's been awesome this year. Like, when he's been on the ice, he has been so good. He scores a point in like 90% of games. He did it in the Olympics. Like, the guy's been phenomenal all year. But like you said, it's March. He usually disappears for a little while, and it happened. And now today he comes back to morning skate wearing a red no contact jersey, but then participates as if he's playing. So I don't even know what's happening tonight, later today. He might play, he might not play. Cassidy's answer was not particularly good. We haven't ruled him in and we haven't ruled him out. It's like, well, that's not helpful at all, Bruce. So, I still think if he's in the lineup, Mark Stone's going to be great, as long as he is at least close to the full health. Now, is he rushing himself back? I don't know. We really don't have a lot of information because the NHL doesn't like to give it. Yeah. I actually asked specifically, is it his back? And the answer that was given was, and I quote, "It's upper body."
Hey, a back is in the upper body, a good portion of it.
but can I get a no or a yes? What? Come on.
If you figure out how to get a no or yes to those questions, you let us know. We would love it. Last one for me is, you mentioned the Anderson thing, that he doesn't have a contract yet. Are we at the point where we're concerned that he might not stick, or not that concerned?
I don't think so. I mean, it hasn't been like the perfect fit. You look at the offensive numbers, not been all that great. Defensively, it's been a bit of a struggle, but he's got to figure in figure out how to deal with 4 fewer minutes. I think the bigger piece is like he's just not going to get power play time here. He's not going to get 6-on-5 time here. They use a 5-forward unit, and he's just not going to be that guy. So can you get the same impact out of Erasmus Anderson when you're not getting that offensive impact? I don't know. But the Golden Knights knew that going in. They knew where he was going to slot in. They knew what they were going to get. I would be shocked. They've really never had a guy that they wanted to hang on to or done this type of deadline deal and not been able to get the extension across the line. Rasmus, it's pretty well-known secret. He wants to be in Vegas. Now he's here. I don't see why it wouldn't happen. There has been some questions of like, does he deserve more than Theodore and Hannafin, which is probably what it's going to have to be. And I think that's a fair argument because I don't know that he does. I would argue he probably does not.
Just one more on the lineup. It looks like Mitch Marner maybe going back out to the wing with Hurdle in the middle here. Bruce Cassidy, like how much is he feeling to find that rhythm, that mix, that chemistry here? We're getting down to crunch time here.
Yeah, he likes Marner as a center, and he like goes out of his way to say how much he likes Mitch Marner as a center. And to a degree, I get it. He's really good defensively. He's not good in the circle, but he's always in the right place. He's always the highest forward. He's never on the wrong side of the puck. Like, I get it. But he does seem to have much more impact. You guys have seen it for years in Toronto. He's way more impact on the wing. He's going to generate more offense on his wing, and he should be there probably more than likely. I think the bigger problem is like Hurdle's been bad at 5-on-5. Like, I don't have a better way to say it. He just isn't very good at 5-on-5. It's not a power play. He's not doing anything. So they're trying to find like, all right, can we get him going with Marner back on the wing? But then now you've got Sissons and Dowd as your other two centers. That's not exactly the best depth down the middle that they've used to have in the past. And also Howden's playing on a wing and he can play center. So I do think they're kind of still searching for answers. And then also Mark Stone in the lineup, Mark Stone out of the lineup. Do you want Stone with Eichel? Like, there's a lot of moving parts here. And meanwhile, they can't keep losing because otherwise you start the question by asking me if they're going to miss the playoffs. You got to win at some point.
Yeah.
Well, and you got to win at home. 4 at home. This is a big homestand starting tonight against Pittsburgh. Hey, Ken, great stuff, man. Thanks for joining us, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for your time. Appreciate it, man.
Ken Boehlke, founder and writer of Sin Bin Vegas.
Pittsburgh tonight for Vegas, followed by Chicago, Buffalo, Utah at home.
I just remembered this detail. Remember when Eddie said that they almost traded Natchez for Pettersson?
Yeah, is that a thing that
out
was
there?
out there? Was
Yeah.
I crazy that I was like, wait, what?
Is that news?
I certainly never heard of it. So Eddie just dropped a nice little nugget on our show.
Yeah.
Canucks fans, Natchez for Pettersson was there. Did you know that? Maybe they're all going to be like, yeah, we all knew that.
I don't know. I mean, I think Natchez is a great player. Don't get
That
me
makes
wrong.
total sense, by the way.
A few years ago,
Right?
for sure, I'd have been like, yeah.
Total sense.
Yeah.
I just think that Natchez, I mean, him and McKinnon is such a dynamic pair that I'm not sure Natchez is the same guy without McKinnon.
Buddy, Natchez was pretty decent in Carolina. He had lots of points.
Not in the playoffs. I don't know.
Not in the playoffs.
I've, that's the thing that I keep pointing to with that trade is that everyone always takes the victory lap and then Rantanen has a hat trick in the 7th game to put you out.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So
No, that hurts.
how do we go from like 2 games yesterday to 14 tonight?
That's how we roll. Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's a lot of hockey games.
It is.
And, I think it was a good show.
Okay.
I was fairly focused, right?
Yeah,
Today.
of course, man.
But I am watching the golf.
Oh, the players are so
Okay.
beautiful.
I'm watching the golf
Yep.
out of the corner of my eye.
Uh-huh.
And if I shot around there, I would shoot 1,000.
Every hole's shaped like this. There's water on the left, bunkers on the left.
It's nothing but water and sand everywhere, and it's like circling every green that looks like a postage
You
stamp
two
to me.
lefties would have,
yeah.
it'd have been a nightmare.
My boy Xander's dialing up the darts, though, today. He's got a good start.
Yeah, it would not be fun out there.
No, it looks like, of course, not well suited for amateurs like us.
So the Buffalo Sabres going for their 9th straight victory tonight at home against the Washington Capitals.
God, man, how long was the other streak they had?
9
10, 11,
straight
what
games.
was it?
Lindy Ruff, Jack Adams.
How open is
Yes,
this
right?
Stanley Cup? Because
Well, Anaheim's leading one division, and Buffalo
November,
another,
December, we're
so
talking
fair.
about like 5 teams, 6 teams, but you're like, somebody gets on a roll, somebody gets hurt, bad goaltending.
Totally. we had tiers of teams, and it was like Florida, maybe Tampa.
David Amber was in yesterday. If Ottawa finds a way to catch Detroit, and by the way, like one game in hand, they're just 4 points out.
Yeah.
Like lots of time here still.
Lots of time, but big hockey game.
But if I offered you, like you say it's wide open, but like if I offered you, I'm like, yeah, it's going to be Tampa and Colorado. I mean, I don't think it's like there's great
obviously
teams
that are going to be likely, but when we've seen teams with 130 points lose in the first round, all it takes is one weird sideways bounce, and it's no Colorado or no
who would
Tampa.
Colorado play in the first round this year?
See, to me, the West is different because one of Dallas, Colorado, or Minnesota is going to be in the conference final.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a very legitimate cup contender in deep, and whoever comes out of the Pacific is going to be in tough. But injuries happen. Who knows, man?
I look at Boston, and I know to your point, like, can you win now? Like arguably their best line is Middlestat, Zaka, and Arvidsson.
I know.
Right?
Back end, great.
But they work their asses off, and they play hard.
Yeah.
Pasta.
They're totally a good team that is fine to me. You know what I mean? Like, they don't blow me away. They're not bad. So, yeah, it would be tough to beat them in a series, but
if playoffs started today, they'd be playing Carolina in the first round.
Yeah.
I like that for 6 or 7 games.
Yeah,
beating the crap out of each other.
You know why? It's because a lot of people, yourself included, question Carolina's.
Yeah, I do.
But this has got to be Carolina's year.
I think
no Florida.
Boston would.
No Florida. Carolina's going to win the East, so presumably have home ice the whole way through.
No Florida has been their boogeyman.
And Anderson in playoffs? What do you think? Or is it going to be Bussy?
I'm trying to think if I've had any memories of Anderson in big games for the Leafs, if this has gone well.
Did you ever have a bus driver in your entire career that wasn't called Bussy? Like everything is just, hey, Bussy, what time we leaving? Like they were always Bussy.
I thought it was Otto.
I don't think it's been Otto. Always Bussy.
In Hershey, our bus driver was an adopted trainer too. Like he.
Yes. Load the bus. Yeah.
No, I'm talking tracksuit, everything on the bench.
Oh no, on the bench?
Sometimes.
Really?
Yes.
That's
God, I can't remember the.
Oh, I miss those days. Except on the 16th and 31st. Minor league pay. No good. Not fun.
Yeah. I got more experience of that.
Wow. Jam-packed today. Our thanks in our first hour to Scott Niedermayer. Edzo. Eddie Olczyk. And Ken Boehlke. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Back tomorrow with Doug McLean.